This is AI Jim Ross, and you're about to listen to Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast. This show is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Don't be a slapdick and get offended by anything on this show. And hey, slap nuts, if you do get offended, that's a you problem.
Hi, everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to the Booking the Territory Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
This is the artist formerly known as Daryl Van Horn, James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, and I'm here to let you know I would rather slam my cock in a car door than to miss the dulcet tones of Hard Body Harper, my illegitimate son, on Booking the Territory podcast.
Woo, Messi, this is professional wrestler Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man. Tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss Booking the Territory. Oh, yeah.
This is a one-man gang. You're listening to Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast. For today, we are covering WCW Saturday Night on TBS from February the 6th, 1993. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on the video. And lastly, type a comment or two what you liked or didn't like about the episode. It definitely helps the channel grow. It makes Harper very happy. He is salty these days, and that's one of the things that helps him not be so salty. So make sure you post a comment and like the video. I don't care if you like the show, hate the show, whatever. Just post something so that he isn't worked into a shoot when he goes to the channel. On that note, big time shout out to Disrespectfully Classy, Marky Blassie, Mike Children, Joe Ass, good old Justin for your generous support on Patreon each and every month. No new patrons this week before I throw it to Doc. The reason being, we're recording this on just a couple of days after we recorded the last show, moving some schedules around. We're trying to get some things done. We got some things going on personally that we got to do this at an inconvenient time. It is February 6th of 1993. We do have Super Brawl coming up soon. That White Castle of Fear segment in the previous week was something else. We're going to get Harper's opinion on that. We have to. Before I get to that, I want to remind everyone the only way to listen to our review on Patreon on Super Brawl 3, which is phenomenal, especially Vader and Sting, is by going to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. That is tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Matt Wilson sent me an email and said, Mike, you sell yourself short. There's more than 400 Patreon shows. It's more like 600. God. So he says it's 600. I don't know how. It doesn't feel like that many, but maybe it is. So I know we're over 1,000 free shows. So I guess, who knows? Anyway, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. You can get all of our Patreon content there, including the World Class shows, including the NWA Legacy Cast shows, including the ECW shows, all with the JV Goon Squad, along with the Clashes.
Don't sleep on the JV Goon Squad.
Don't sleep on the JV Goon Squad. Those guys are good too. All of that is available on Patreon, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. You always hear me talk about the video versions of these. We do, the main show does do video versions of all of the episodes we do and have done video episodes on most of them in the past. So that is available on Patreon as well, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. The best way to support this show and to keep the show going. Now, Doc, finally, we'll get into February 6th. It was taped January 25th, 1993 at Center Stage. This is the second half of the taping from that day. So that's why I said January 25th. The voiceover walks us through what we'll see today. We are told the Rock and Roll Express will be here. Jim Ross and Larry Zbyszko welcome us into Center Stage, and they quickly send us into the ring for the first match. But before we go to that, let me ask you if you had anything from the opening.
Let's go ahead and go.
Okay,
because there's a lot to talk about here, so I don't want to stop at the opening.
Fair enough. So we go to the first. Larry's got a black shirt on. I don't know if you recognize.
Well, I was gonna say he dresses like the old guy at the club.
I can live with that. As
the other thing I was going to ask is JR long for this world?
Oh no! I mean, that's what I've told you.
Hold on, let me restate that because he's been ill. Is he long for the Federation?
No. So I don't know if you were on I think it was Croc. One of the shows Crockett was on. We were talking about Watts not having much longer in the promotion. And I was like, well, yeah, don't get too used to JR because he gets caught in the crossfire of it. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But it's close. It's very close. We're not far off at all right now. Like, it's going to happen so quick, you can be like, whoa, okay, we're already there.
Okay.
Yeah. I personally think when you hear what JR had to say about that, we'll get to it in a few weeks. I personally think JR got done extremely wrong just based on the fact that he had a relationship with Watts previously, and obviously he's a Watts guy because, you know, he was Watts' guy in Mid-South and UWF. I think JR just gets screwed over massively here. But don't feel sorry for JR because he ends up going to WWF and becomes a rich man. Once that became a publicly traded company, he's got stock options and all kind of stuff. So JR got done wrong here, though. But we'll get to that when we get there. Not far off. First match, Doc. Brian Pillman and Steve Austin versus Johnny B. Bad and Too Cold Scorpio. This is another hell of a combination. They're throwing Scorpio in there with a bunch of different people. I think they're trying to find something that sticks. They'll eventually find something that sticks.
Can you go back to 215?
Yeah. What do you got from?
Is Johnny B. Bad stepping or Dick dancing here?
A little bit of both. Yeah, the little move, the little shimmy with the waist on the hip. That Dick dancers like that waist on that hand on the waistline thing, don't they?
It draws attention, I guess, to the
to the package.
Sure. I guess.
Go ahead. You got anything?
Also, let's move ahead to 408 here. I just have that it's a nice set of moves. And yeah, we're trying to find Scorpio something to do, and I'm glad for that because he deserves that. He's gotten after it. Where are we at?
All right, so we're at 355. We get a drop kick by Scorpio to the outside. Pillman flies to the outside, and then Scorpio's about to take flight. Nope, he tricks Pillman, just goes over the top rope and then hits Pillman off the apron. Scorpio can float, man. Yeah. He's incredible.
Yeah. Jim Ross. And Pillman's certainly up to the task of keeping up with Scorpio, so he's a good dance partner there.
100%. Jim Ross does say during the match that if this was a charisma contest, Bad and Scorpio would win hands down, and he's not lying because they both have remarkable charisma in different ways, but they are definitely charismatic. And Bad is just as dark as Scorpio with that ridiculous tan that he has. All right. Anything else on this one? I got a timestamp at 6:50.
I have one at 6:09.
Okay, let's go back to 6:09.
And I just said whatever this is looked kind of dangerous. This.
Oh yeah. Okay, I had that too. I missed it.
It didn't look like anybody got hurt, but I was like, "What the hell just happened?" That looked.
Do you remember the first time you saw a suplex like that? So for everybody not watching, Pillman is on the ring apron. Scorpio's inside the ring. He suplexes Scorpio to the outside. Do you remember the first time you saw a move like that?
No.
I do. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, holy shit. Like, I was like, is this guy alive? Is he going to make it through that? Because it's not much as a bump as it's a car crash. I mean, you're just suplexing a dude out and then just kind of dropping him on the concrete and letting gravity take its natural effect. So it's very scary.
Yeah. It's a interesting visual too, because it's like, whoa, he just took off.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So at 6:50, Scorpio has Pillman pinned, but the ref right here, beautiful crossbody off the top rope. That's an old Kevin Von Erich move. But the ref was distracted by Austin, so Pillman eventually kicks out. And then we're eventually going to get a hot tag to Bad. And Bad comes in working over the heels. Bad hits his finisher, but Austin with the save. Scorpio comes in, but the ref goes to get Scorpio out of the ring, and Austin catches Bad, and Pillman catches Bad with a roll-up. Scorpio then can't make the save, and Austin and Pillman win. Right team won, but my main note on this was, this is a hell of a opening TV match. Like, I like this. You do something that gets the fans up, and you got 4 really outstanding guys in the ring. They all got charisma. There's no void of charisma in this match. So you have a lot going on where there's no Z-Man gun boredom happening. I mean, it's like again, if you tell somebody on paper, oh, it's Pillman and Austin, they're like, oh yeah, okay, that's great. And you're like, oh, it's Bad and Scorpio. Not that those guys weren't good. It's just that, well, I mean, they're kind of just thrown together as a tag team, but they were good guys, talented. But most people would be like, oh, I guess it was fine. Nah, this was a really good opening, solid TV match. Like, so good, it's like contender for Rolex or Toot Award. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
I also thought this was really good. I enjoyed it. And my note here was, I had a couple too. One was, why aren't we pushing these guys already into the future? I mean, it's like, let's get young.
Well, I think they are. I mean, Austin and Pillman are about to get, or not about to, but
come
on their way.
Okay.
You mean as singles?
No.
And not tag, or
I mean as just I'm constantly confused by this roster's wealth of talent and the inability to draw money with it.
Well, I think we've litigated that over the past several months.
Sure, and that's what I was saying. And the other thing about that is this. To add to all that, I have a feeling we're about to get the best professional wrestler of all time coming back.
Yeah.
So there's that. The other thing is, and I'll say this, and you were mentioning it, but you're gonna hit me with it again here in a second. I've been waiting for this opportunity to say this, but Johnny B. Bad is better than I remember. Because
he's excellent.
When I came back to Out of the Dark period, it was 95. And I was like, what's this clown? And
I never thought that about him.
Well, but I hadn't seen all the work he put in up to this. I was 20-something, early 20s. This guy's a Little Richard. What are we doing here kind of thing? It's goofy. And I just am telling you that in second watching and more in depth, I'm ready to present the man as flowers.
Okay, I don't know about no fucking flowers, but Johnny B. Bad was tremendous from the get-go to me. Because he did... Okay, the first thing I thought, and we didn't notice at the time, with Dusty, that boy looked like Little Richard. You know, like, we never knew that at the time. But the first thing I thought when I saw him as a teenager was, that dude looks like Little Richard. Like, that was my thought process. That's not why I thought he was tremendous. I thought he was tremendous just from the start because I'm like, he just had charisma. There was something that was, unlike when you look at Johnny Gunn or Z-Man, I mean, I feel bad bringing this up, but you look at a guy like Z-Man, void of charisma. Just complete. He's like a black hole of charisma. There ain't nothing there charismatic. He can do everything else. Johnny B. Bad, charisma. He pops off the screen. I ain't trying to say he should have been WCW World Champion. I'm just saying there's something there. I said that from the get-go to you. I was like, this dude's amazing. I kept saying it. I was like, he's even in the early days when they first made him bad. And you're like, come on, bruh. So I'm glad you finally came around. You come around a lot when you actually give people a chance. You never noticed that about you?
Have I ever noticed that about me? I think
you did the same thing with Luger. Same thing with Luger. You're like, man, I wasn't fair to Luger.
I believe that when presented with new information, I am willing to change my opinion on things.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I respect that completely.
Okay.
But I was just saying, you've done that a lot with wrestlers. I'm Luger and now Bad. That's why I say that. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Okay. Anything from Barry Windham's promo? It's quick meat and potatoes. He's talking about Sting getting a job done tonight. He's going to be wrestling.
Stay right there.
Stay right where?
Right there on your screen.
Okay.
I don't have anything from it other than that mustache is thick.
That's what I was gonna say.
And
I was hoping you brought it up.
He looks like his daddy in the face right there.
Yeah, he
with
does.
That mustache.
Yeah. Look at that mustache. He look in the goatee part kind of throws it off, but if you could just look from the top lip up, he looks like Blackjack. Man, he does look like daddy right there. Holy crap. All right. He tells he's wrestling Sting later in the show, and he tells Sting, when I get done with you tonight, you're going to be done with this sport. That's a hell of a promo, if you ask me, to say that to somebody. All right. From there, we then go to a Sting promo. I feel like I need to play Sting's promo, though. You got anything you want to say about it before I throw to it?
No.
All right. Let's go to Sting's promo now. It's against a green screen. Here it is.
Big Van Vader, let me tell you something. In my career, I've been beat up and I've been left for dead on several occasions. But nobody, including my father, has ever done what you did to me, a leather strap across the back. That's degrading, my friend. In my home. Let me tell you something, Super Brawl 3. You keep talking about you being world heavyweight champion and the leather strap and the White Castle of Fear and the pain game this and the pain game that and the power bomb this and the power bomb that. Let me tell you something. How do you know you're going to be world heavyweight champion? Tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock in the Omni, my friend. I want that chance. I want the opportunity to be world heavyweight champion. You got the belt now and I'm going to take it from you. Because I'm going to remember those straps that I took across my back. And I'm going to remember how you laughed as you did it. And I'm going to think about how you're laughing walking down the road right now. And then I'm going to think about hooking that scorpion deathlock on you. That's something I hardly ever talk about. That's something I may not ever get a chance to do again if I don't do it tomorrow. 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the Omni. The scorpion deathlock, and believe me, if I hook it on you, if I do, which I plan on doing, there's no way in the world I'm going to let go. No way in the world, but the only thing that will happen if I do hook it on is I'll probably, undoubtedly become world heavyweight champion.
I thought Sting was fired up. I kind of liked him right there. That's why I wanted to play it. Like, I don't have anything specific from it, but I thought he was good. What did you think?
I thought he was pretty good there. It was a little bit long, but that's okay. He was good, and just boy, creative isn't his friend.
What do you mean by that?
White Castle of Fear, bro.
Oh, okay. The name is stupid, and that video package was stupid, but man, you're gonna change your tune when you see that match. I think you've seen it already. You just don't remember it. Because I feel like we talked about it before. Because Shivani talked about it on his show in the early years of it. But, you know, I won't say you saw it. I'll wait till you see it to tell me if you've seen it already. We go to Steve Regal versus Bob Cook. Regal is making his American wrestling debut, according to the ring announcer. So unless he's worked for a smaller promotion before this in the U.S., that might be true, but then again, it might not, because it's pro wrestling, and you know, in wrestling, the truth isn't reality, and reality isn't the truth oftentimes. Doc, thoughts from this? It doesn't take long.
I did think that Regal sold a lot for a debut. I also wondered, let's make Regal a heel and tag him with Benoit and let him take over the world.
Well, he kind of, again, I think he flounders as a babyface at first. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I don't feel like much happens with him as a face. He needs to be a heel. I just think the smug look. So I'm not saying tag him with Benoit, but I definitely think he needs to be a freaking heel. And Boogie, nothing about you says babyface. That's how I feel about Regal. Regal's going to catch Cook with a knee lift, then a bit of a slam, and then Regal pins Cook, wins his debut. Once again, as we go to commercial, JR is screaming, call the hotline, and I will give you the status on the Nature Boy Ric Flair. I don't know if this is the third or fourth week in a row. I know it's definitely the third that we've been talking about this. So, any surprise there? And are you looking forward to your wrestling hero returning?
Of course.
All right. On that note, Doc, before we go to Tony Schiavone interviewing Eric Watts, JR mentions Arn's knee is torn, but they also found out that his leg is broken too. It's a work, people. It's a work. Anyway, let's go now to Tony Schiavone, who's going to be interviewing Eric Watts about Arn Anderson. Here it is.
Jim Ross and Larry Zbyszko back with you. So much has been said about the altercation in Charlotte, North Carolina a few weeks ago involving Eric Watts and Arn Anderson. A lot of accusations thrown in Eric's face. We're going to hear some comments Eric had earlier this week with Tony Schiavone. We found out that not only did Arn Anderson's leg, his knee get torn, Larry, his leg was broken.
Yeah, he broke his leg, and don't look at me if you expect any sympathy for Arn Anderson. This time, I think he got exactly what he asked for.
As we said, Tony caught up with Eric Watts earlier this week. Let's hear their conversation.
It happened in Charlotte, North Carolina in the parking lot. We've seen the footage before. Arn Anderson attacks Eric Watts. Eric, we're going to take a look at the footage one more time.
Fantastic, because there's a few things I'd like to point out.
We pick it up with the attack, Eric. What was going through your mind right here?
There's a lot going through my mind. I was surprised. I couldn't believe that Arn Anderson decided to come at me in a gas station, where anyone could get hurt. There was a little kid asking for my autograph. But the natural instinct came in. That was to defend myself and do whatever I could possible to stop the attack.
Right now, with the STF on, we understand not only has a knee injury, but he has a fractured leg. We understand his career could be over, Eric.
His career could be over, but he came to attack me. I'm a man. I've got to defend myself. I don't get paid to fight in the streets. I get paid to fight in the ring. But wherever they want to bring it, whoever wants to bring it, it doesn't matter.
Finally, the police arrive.
They arrive. I thought they were pulling me apart, but you'll see here later that they thought that I started it, and they end up arresting me.
Yeah, Eric, I know you were arrested, but as the videotape showed, falsely accused. The suspension from WCW has been lifted, and that's going to make you feel good.
I feel fantastic about that. What I don't feel so good about is that I probably ended a man's career. But it was in defense. I was defending myself. Right. My back was to the wall. Arn Anderson, you came at me. But what I was taught since I was a little kid was it doesn't matter who starts the fight, but who ends the fight.
I think those comments pretty well sum up Eric Watts' feeling on that situation, ladies and gentlemen. We've got so much more great wrestling action. Remember, still to come, Sting and Barry Windham one-on-one. But Ron Simmons is next.
Every time I hear Watts talk, we're getting closer to when Watts talks about, I'm sorry, not Watts, when Arn cuts his promo where it says where he tells Watts your political capital is gone, and you're gonna blow your load when you hear that one because it's tremendous. Anyway, your thoughts on?
I probably ended a man's career. Ugh.
That just rubs you the wrong way, huh? As a babyface,
all the wrong ways, like taking a cat and just going in the wrong direction.
Oh God.
What?
Nothing. So you didn't like that from Watts?
No.
I actually thought he came across as a babyface finally.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't feel like he meant that statement maliciously.
Oh no, man! I'm just out there pumping gas and signing autographs. And if you want to come at me, I'll hook them up.
Don't get me wrong. I think for the first time ever, he is.
Right, he ought to join the Ambient Express, and go after the 6-man tags.
Okay. All right. Well, we know none of us like Eric Watts during this era with the nepotism with Daddy Watts. So there's that. All right, Doc. From there, I didn't think it was terrible, but what are we doing here? It's a little ridiculous. But it sets up a great promo from Arn when he comes back. That said, Ron Simmons is taking on Mike Thor. I don't really have much for this. It's pretty damn quick. Your thoughts?
When does Ron leave WCW?
I can't even remember because to me it's so obscure what happens after his title reign ends.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure I could Google it, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Why don't you hit that Google? Won't you throw that in your, what Conrad used to say when you listen to him all the time? Throw that in your Google machine?
Sure, I'm working on it.
Okay. I was gonna look it up too. Because I wanted to give accurate information based on Wikipedia. Well, he's there through 94 according to Wikipedia, and I don't even remember that.
Okay.
I remember what's about to come up, but I didn't even remember through 94. So there you go. All right. We continue. Dustin Rhodes and Ron Simmons cut a promo, and Dustin and Ron, it's real quick. They show a lot of respect.
Dude, he's
for each
there
other.
through September of 94.
Right, but it's obscure.
Okay.
It's not like there's no.
I didn't talk about how well known it is. I'm just telling you.
He's a defeated man. There's a promo he cuts the week that you weren't. Last week you weren't here. The last show Crockett did, and you could see the look on his face. He's got boo boo face.
Okay.
Al Snow says boo boo face. He got boo boo face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a quick promo. Ron says, "I got a lot of respect for you, champ, but I'm expecting to win that title at Super Brawl." And that was that. Any other thoughts?
Mm-mm.
From there, we go to a segment mentioning the WCW TV title tournament that's coming up. There are 2 tournament brackets. One is called the Anderson Conference, and the other is Mr. Wrestling 2 Conference. So in the Anderson Conference, I'm going to read the names to you who are in this match or in this conference or side of the bracket. Eric Watts versus Johnny Gunn. Max Payne versus Marcus Bagwell. Robbie V versus Shanghai Pierce. Vinny Vegas versus Van Hammer. So that is the Anderson Conference for the TV
So
title.
the winner's coming out of the other conference. Gotcha.
Okay. On the other side of the bracket, the Mr. Wrestling 2 Conference, we got Paul Orndorff versus Too Cold Scorpio.
I like it.
Z-Man versus Cactus Jack.
Okay.
Steve Regal versus the Barbarian.
Okay.
Chris Benoit versus Johnny B. Bad.
Much better conference.
Okay. I do think that side of the bracket is stronger. So we got 8 guys in each bracket, 16 guys in total. The tournament will actually be held on Worldwide in the main event.
Oh.
But I think we see some of it on Saturday night, but I don't remember. I know I've watched some of it before, not all of it. Doesn't really matter. My point is here, we're holding a tournament for the actual TV title that has been vacant for quite some time since Scott was like, nah, bruh, I'm out this piece after his contract was done. Any thoughts on the TV title tournament that you saw there, Doc?
Let's hook them up.
All right. Doc, this next segment is pretty lengthy, and we got a lot to talk about.
It sure as hell is. But man,
so how about I chop it up?
We that's what we've already been doing.
No. I mean, like, chop the segment. I'll play some audio.
So
I'm not even gonna tell y'all what's gonna happen.
We're gonna chop it up as you chop it up. I got it.
I'm not even gonna tell y'all what happens. I'm gonna hit play.
This is great. This is like a collision of scenes for us.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's like we went into the time machine as much as possible here. So I'm gonna hit play. We go back to JR center stage, and we are going to probably pause this maybe a couple times to discuss as it's happening. Here we go.
Gentlemen, to determine a new world television champion. Those 16 men competing not only on Worldwide Wrestling, but on the main event as well. And the main event, as I said, will return right here to TBS tomorrow at 6:05 Eastern Time. Now, don't forget, later in this broadcast, the big one-on-one matchup involving Sting and Barry Windham. After what happened here last week, we know that situation is certainly going to be a war. Also still to come, we're going to talk more about Super Brawl, the big pay-per-view event. Oh, wait just a second. I don't really believe what I'm seeing. There's Jim Cornette. and the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Champions, the Heavenly Bodies. And what an unexpected situation this is. This is not Smoky Mountain.
There's some nice traffic out on Peachtree. Why don't all of you go play in it? You know, I've got a problem, Jim Ross, and I've got some people here to back me up tonight. And I want to see somebody that don't answer their telephone calls out here. Yeah, I know where the camera is. I don't care if it's on TV or not. I want to see Bill Watts. Bill Watts don't answer his telephone. Bill Watts is a big executive. Bill Watts don't return his calls. Well, I don't like being ignored. I want to see Bill Watts out here face to face. And if I don't get it, we ain't going to leave. If you got anybody can move us, please try, because I'm ready for some big trouble here tonight, brother.
Well, I think Cowboy Bill Watts is here. He may be busy right now, Jim.
Well, busy? What is he out riding a horse, huh? Come on, Marshall Dillon. I know you're right here somewhere. I want to see Bill Watts right here face to face. Big man, big executive. Yeah. There we go. Oh, yeah. Look, he's so tall, the top of his head comes through his hair. Big executive, big man, big vice president, big cowboy Bill Watts. You got a problem with the phones, huh? At CNN, huh? You got a problem with the telephones? You don't want to talk to Jim Cornette? I walked out on this stinking company for less than you. Let me tell you something. I got a problem, and I'm going to explain this. Matter of fact, I'll tie one half of my brain behind my back where we'll be even, okay?
All right, I'm stopping it for a second because you're going to hear the audio kind of go out on Cornette's mic. I'm going to tell you why that happened after we listen to it.
Okay, so first, let's talk about this.
Go ahead. Watts has come out, hasn't said a word yet. Corny's already ripping on him. Marshall Dillon, I love when he said that about Bullet Bob and Smokey. He says about Harper. I mean, about not Harper, Watts. I think it's hilarious, but go ahead.
So I still think somebody coming out from a different promotion on a big deal is a big deal. I still think it's now, man. If you see Ring of Honor on WWE, it's just the whole intrigue of I'm going to take the title to the other Fed. That shit's always great. It just is.
Totally agree.
And so they're out here, and you see Dr. Tom with his hair fluffing. I forgot about that. He's fluffing that hair. If you're drinking along because you remember Smoky Mountain days, I hope that you seek medical attention soon. Look at Stan Lane back on TBS, just looking in that shot right there at the camera.
He didn't have to fly his women in when he came back to Atlanta.
His seafood or his women. You know, I look at this and I just think everything is right with the world when you have Saturday Night, WCW, NWA, whatever, and Corny's out there with Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton. The other thing I wanted to ask is Corny wearing pink pants with an elastic band?
I don't think it's well, he might. Because there's no belt on it. And, you know, he's not even at his biggest, like when he got fat and Smoky.
And it's good to see Dr. Tom get some run on national TV. Let's.
Oh, yeah. Totally. I had that note. Love seeing Dr. Tom getting a little bit of
pub
recognition here. Yeah.
All right, that's what I had. This is good shit, pal.
Yeah, this is good stuff. So I'm going to continue. Like I said, you're going to hear during Cornette's promo, the audio will kind of cut out from his mic. We'll talk about that on the other side. Here it is.
I walked out here and so did Stan Lane 2 years ago because the people that run this crummy, stinking company tried to make the Midnight Express look like a bunch of idiots. We left. We took and we found Dr. Tom Pritchard and we formed another tag team, the Heavenly Bodies, and we went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling where they appreciate wrestling talent, and we became the tag team champions of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And then all of a sudden, like some kind of cancer, the Rock and Roll Express reoccurs. And they come and they steal our tag team belts. And before we can do anything about that, I'm sitting at home in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm watching television, and I turn on in front of God and everybody on national TV. You're showing a bunch of videotape of the Rock and Roll Express beating our brains out. Well, let me tell you, shut up. Let me tell you something right now, Bill Watts. I ain't gonna stand for it. I broke up the Midnight Express because I didn't want TBS to make them look like idiots. And we don't even work here. So I called Beautiful Bobby and brought him back to the fold. A man you've misused and abused for 2 years here. And we got our tag team belts back. And now what I want from you is a public apology, Watts, to all those people that you showed that videotape to. I want a public apology for trying to embarrass us, make us look like clowns. And if I don't get it, but I'll raise such a big stink about this that before it's over with, you're going to be swabbing out toilets in CNN and popping popcorn.
First of all, sissy, keep your hands off of me because I don't want to have my blood tested. Now let's straighten one thing out. You've run your mouth. There's a lot of people I'd apologize to, but you're not one of them. Everything we showed on this program, we had all the releases and all the clearances, and we've been working hand in glove with Bob Armstrong, who's the commissioner of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. You're the biggest mouth there, but you don't carry a lot of weight. Wait a minute. You do carry a lot of weight, and it's still in the same place it always was. You're kind of egg-shaped. But we've got clearances for what we show. Wait a minute.
We'll come out here if we want to. We'll do whatever we want.
I got news for you, Big Mouth. You don't work for us, so I can't find you, and we're not signing your matches. But the next time you butt in on our show, I'll have Doug Dillinger and Atlanta's finest walk to your little right down to the Crossbar Hotel, and we'll put you in jail.
I'll tell you who you ought to put in jail. You ought to have the Rock and Roll Express arrested for murder. They came out here last week and killed your ratings. You bring them out here like Henry Kissinger at a steak dinner, sitting them there, slapping us in the face. They're losers. We beat them.
All right, let's talk about this.
All right, the Rock and Roll just came out. Go ahead.
So why did the audio pop out there?
All right, so according to Cornette, the parts where you can't hear Corny, Bischoff edited that out. One of the points Cornette, you can see what he's saying. At one point, he's saying, "I'll sue you and TBS," and then you can't see what else he's saying. And it's hard to. I tried to watch it. I watched it 1,000,000 times. It's hard to see what he's saying. But according to Cornette, Bischoff was the one who edited this out, and he actually confronted Bischoff about this at Super Brawl. He asked him about it. And I can't remember what Bischoff told him, but that's why you can't hear the audio. Whatever was said, TBS didn't want that going out on their airwaves. I don't even think it was anything that bad. Like I said, one of the things was, "I'll sue you and TBS." So that's not even that's minor. I think he might have.
I like how Corny got it out. We walked out on you, so that it sets the narrative of we didn't get fired. Screw you.
Yes, but this was a Bischoff thing, according to Cornette. Just putting that out there. According to Corny, this was a Bischoff thing that the audio was edited. The mic didn't malfunction. He's talked about this on his podcast. It wasn't the mic that malfunctioned. It was a purposeful edit.
Okay.
Now
you know what else?
The reaction that they got just walking down in the center stage, surprisingly, was amazing. And then the Rock and Roll chants is amazing. Bill Watts is amazing here. So as much as we criticize Watts, he was phenomenal here.
He was great.
Now, go ahead.
He let him say whatever he wanted to say, and he didn't get mad or say a word or do anything. until he touched.
He got touched. Yep.
And that is letting it boil the right way.
Yes.
And not sissy fight with words. It was, okay, now you touch me, that's a problem.
Yes. Yes. Because, like,
Cornette when's the last time you heard a crowd that loud during an interview segment?
And Cornette, yeah, exactly. And Cornette is getting so worked up. He's for a shoot. This is him in real life. That's what's hilarious. He's getting so worked up that eventually he's in Watts' face. He can't help but to touch him. He can't help but to put his finger on him. You should be in jail. You killed WCW ratings. And when he finally touches him, that's when Watts grabs him. Don't shoot, because that's the thing, dude. Like, I know a lot of people in life like that. They're like, man, I don't care if people talk crap. You can yell at me all you want. I'm not going to lose my cool. Keep your hands off me. Do not put your hands on me. You put your hands on me, that's when the problem starts. And this is exactly, so that was real to me. Like, why y'all talking about it like it's real? That was real to me. He put his hands on him and Watts like, all right, I've had enough. And he grabs his finger and hand and just squeezes it. And you can see Corny like, oh shit, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Continue. Go ahead. What else you got from it?
I think, let me make sure. A man you used and abused on Eaton. And I wonder what Watts is thinking when he's like, man, this is the best thing I got, and it's not even mine.
I mean, it's not the best thing, because again,
you know what I'm saying. It's the hottest. Yeah. It's hot.
It's hot quickly. Yeah. Well, what he's thinking right here is,
I wonder how
he ain't got much longer in the promotion.
Said, boys, that's how it's done.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, it's weird because this happens and it's near the end of of him there. And we'll talk about that. And I know Corny said they got it written under contract because Corny claims that Watts called him, was like, look, I'm getting ready to leave. I'm almost done with this. I can't deal with the leadership here, but I'm going to get the deal I've signed with you to be here and be at Super Brawl. I'm going to get that, on paper. That way they can't, tell you we don't want you. So they at least they close that loop. But yeah, I mean, this is happening and it's literally about to not even be a thing.
Crazy.
It does make you wonder. Look, as much grief as I give Bill Watts, we say this all the time. I think Watts did some good stuff. He took away most of the cartoon crap. But as much grief as I give Watts and the stupidity that we see in his authoritarian leadership, which I think is a joke, in this moment, he knows what he's doing, bro. This is good stuff, pal.
Very.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to keep playing the audio. The rock and roll have come out. The Heavenly Bodies are out there. And it looks like we're about to get into something. So let's play. We got about another minute and 15 seconds of audio. Here it is.
Talk about a bunch of stuff that's happening where our fans don't even know and don't care. But I'll say one thing here, we've established that ring right out there is neutral ground. And I'll tell you, if you guys want to get your tails out there, we'll let you settle. Why don't you get in that ring and hook them out?
We're not dressed. We don't have tights. We're not. What are you doing?
Let's get a referee out here. Let's get a referee.
Hey, we're not scared. We're not dressed.
Let me tell you, don't let that hold you back. You're not dressed too well anyway. Why don't you get on in there? They're ready.
What a dramatic turn of events we have seen here. The Smoky Mountain champions given the opportunity to settle their differences.
All right, the best part about Corny saying we're not even dressed. When Watts said, let's do it now, we got a ring, the Rock and Roll ain't dressed for this either.
And he said, we're not, it's not that we're scared, we ain't dressed. That's a great little line. That's
right.
That's
but the
cute.
Rock and Roll non-verbally spoke a lot, because as soon as Watts is like, let's settle it now, Ricky and Robert didn't even think twice about going to the ring without wrestling attire on.
Correct.
Meanwhile, the Heavenly Bodies, they have to think twice about it 3 times. Corny's like, we're not even dressed. And Watts looks at Corny and goes, yeah, well, that's obvious. This is great. And then it leads to the match that we're getting into. And did you hear the fans?
Jesus, they were like, this was, I feel I would be remiss if I didn't, on this episode, say it's not that fucking hard, guys.
Bruh, it's really not that hard, dude.
It's not true. It's real hard. It's just not complex.
I don't know. But in honor of Kevin Sullivan,
it's a simple concept. It's just, it's complex because if anybody could do it, everybody would.
It ain't that fucking hard, guys. We ain't building a rocket. We're getting guys over in a fake fucking business.
Timely and timeless. Okay. So, any other thoughts on what went down right there? The Heavenly Bodies storm center stage. The Rock and Roll come out. Now we got a heated match going on. Any thoughts before we get into the match?
I'm ready to go to... Well, hold on. There is one thing, because I liked it when he said it. You come out here talking about a bunch of stuff that isn't happening here and nobody cares about. Sounds like somebody cares about it.
Right, yeah.
So, anyway, let's go to this match, because this crowd is into it. We're into it. It's neutral ground, brother.
You think, okay, so the crowd is loud into this.
And you will not, I just looked. You will... Here's my 2 first notes to this match. I just looked at them. Crowd is into it.
I got the same thing.
Guys, it ain't that fucking hard. I wrote that down.
Ironic.
Yeah.
The crowd is so loud. You think it's amazing. These people missed the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah. And we talked about it a lot in that 3-year span of where they passed their prime, and maybe by 95, but I would argue that, the real question is they're glad to see him. How long would it last? But
right.
Okay.
But they're over.
I could just see one of the suits at WCW who didn't know about wrestling turn into Watson going, how come they don't react like that for our guys?
I mean, the only person here who I'm going to say the general fan might not know is Dr. Tom at this point.
Correct.
And I say might not because...
Yeah, you never know what people had seen and not seen, and he was a little bit more of the regional guy.
Yeah, so maybe you've got people who don't know who he is, but the Rock and Roll, they start off this thing, they are all over the Heavenly Bodies. And this is old school wrestling.
Can I get 30-23?
What do we want here?
I want audio and video.
I'm at 30-19, so here we go.
It's Pritchard and Martin up in his face with a Frankensteiner.
He called it a Frankensteiner.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't calling it a Hurricane Rana at that point. Were they?
I don't think so. And look at Ricky Morton taken to the sky.
Of course. All right. So what I was going to say about this is old school. The Rock and Roll, they dominate.
This is wrestling.
Rock and Roll dominate for much of it. Corny does get involved. He hits Morton with the racket at one point. This goes for a while. They gave not only the promo time, but this match plenty of time. I mean, the promo starts at like 21 minutes, and then we're at like minute 34 before we're out, getting close to being out of this. I mean, this is phenomenal. Like, they let this breathe. It was so good. The fans were into it. I mean, this really was a 15-minute commercial on Saturday night for Smoky Mountain.
Jeez, you aren't kidding.
With 6 if you count Bobby and Corny on the outside, 6 guys who know what the hell they're doing every single minute. They're out there and in there.
And Corny is
they're all
thinking,
wrestling in their Zubaz.
Corny's thinking, I'm going to use WCW to get rich and not even have to be on their payroll.
Phenomenal stuff. All right, I'm going to go to the finish. You all right with that?
Yes. But
so
the other thing I was going to say,
mm-hmm.
These guys are working hard. They're into it. They're working harder than some of the guys on the main roster. And this makes Smoky Mountain seem legitimate, huge, and even potentially bigger. I think bigger than they really are, obviously.
Agree. Hey, let's not forget, WCW was going to SMW towns and cities and not drawing as much as Smoky Mountain Wrestling was.
That's just
when they would come.
Inconceivable.
Right. When you think about how much talent they had. So we do get a hot tag to Gibson. Rock and Roll on a roll, but the ref calls for a DQ after a double drop kick when Gibson goes to pin Lane and Eaton comes in to make the save. Rock and Roll wins by DQ. Eaton hits the Alabama Jam on Morton as Cornette lays the racket on Morton. So the heels keep their heat. And again, like I just said, for an hour-long show without commercials, Smoky Mountain Wrestling got a 15-minute commercial of TV time on Saturday night. It's a lot of promotion for. I can't say that enough. I mean, but it's what actually happened. So this is great. Good shit. I mean, you can't put this over enough. The faces come out. They're trying to help save Rock and Roll, and I'm sorry, I say the faces. The enhancement talent come out, and the Heavenly Bodies beat them down, which was great.
Did you see Corny hit Van Dam with the racket?
Yes, I did. It was right there in front of, like, I think he might have even caught him twice. No, that was Bobby who kicked Van Dam. And then it was Corny the second time who came over with the racket to clock him.
Yeah, this was, it's hard to say anything more that puts this over more. What a fun segment. What an interesting something we have started, and unfortunately we know where this goes.
Yeah. All right, so we'll continue. I can't put that over enough. It's phenomenal. Just they have a match. The heels keep their heat. The promo before the match. Cornette doing what he does best. Watts doing what he does best. The Heavenly Bodies looking like chicken shits. Or Midnight Express used to do the same thing, looking like chicken shits during the promo. No, we didn't even come here with gear. We just stormed center stage. All around, just good stuff. From there, we go to Up Close and Personal with Cactus Jack. And he has been interviewed by Gordon Soley. So let's go to that right now.
To Tony Schiavone for his kind introduction last week as we discussed things that are upcoming in Super Brawl 3, and that'll be on February 21st. Right now, as I said last week, I want to try to get inside the head of one of the most controversial competitors in the sport today, Cactus Jack.
Well, you want to get inside this head, Mr. Soley? I'm not sure you're dressed for the trip. If you want to come in, come on, welcome the world to the mind of Cactus Jack.
Well, we'll certainly do that right now to all of you out there, and there are millions of you who are really curious about this man. But what prompts you to think that you have the right, and you haven't changed? A lot of people think you have. You haven't. because you're still attacking people with shovels. I saw you in Topeka, Kansas, and I've seen you in other places attacking people like Big Van Vader, Harley Race, with a shovel. What goes through your mind when you do something like that?
Well, you don't approve of things like that, Gordon Soley. Well, that's okay. I'm not here to meet your approval. I'm not here to meet the fans' approval. We're in America, are we not? It's a free country. You fans out there, you want to put your hands together and cheer what I'm doing, then go ahead. You want to purse your lips and form a big boo and spit on Cactus Jack, then that's your choice too. What I'm saying is this. You want to know what was going through my mind when I picked up a shovel and laid out Big Van Vader, Mr. Wonderful, and Harley Race? You want to know?
Yes, I
Nothing!
do.
Nothing was going through my mind. You see, there's a point in time where you got to start thinking and you got to start relying on instincts. That's what's gotten me to this point in my profession, Mr. Soley, and that's what's going to carry me through.
Well, do you mean to tell me now that you actually have ideas for winning the World Heavyweight Championship? You've got Mr. Wonderful, the Brandon Bull, Paul Orndorff to go through.
You see, I'm not so certain I belong as world champion. Would I like the belt? Sure. What wrestler wouldn't? I'm not so sure I want to be out there as a role model to people because, very frankly, I'm not so sure that bouncing 300 pounds off a concrete floor gives me the credentials. But I am seeing this, Van Vader, 450 pounds, a great world champion. You've got a date with Cactus Jack. Harley Race, you've got a date with Cactus Jack. Paul Wonderful, first and foremost, you've got a date with Cactus Jack. And that date is February 21st at Super Brawl 3 in a match where Fall's killing anywhere in the building.
And I must say this, that certainly, if there's an edge to be given in this particular kind of match, it has to go with the gentleman to my right, Cactus Jack. We'll be back next week with another WCW Up Close.
I love when he said, Gordon's like, what goes through your mind when you attack people with a shovel? If people cheer me, so be it. If they boo me, so be it. I love Cactus. I love Cactus, man. He's great. Thoughts?
I also thought this was great. And I honestly was wondering if JR was watching this and kept this in the back of his mind for later, a few years later in WWF when he sat down with him.
I think every single time, I think JR pulled on not only this, but the last few months, thinking about it.
So I thought, Sully's great in these because he's the authoritative voice. We make fun of him, but he's the authoritative voice, and he's like, you haven't changed.
Yeah, he's right.
Right.
He's
but
so
it's
right.
different when Sully says it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This was good. He called him Paul Wonderful.
I thought that was great.
I guess that's better than Mr. Horndorf.
Well, I mean, Wonderful, he's Mr. Wonderful, so I don't know if that's much of an error because he's calling him Paul Wonderful. Now, if he just said Paul Warndorf.
I just didn't want you to get any hate mail that we didn't call that out, and from the Tim Horner fan club.
Funny.
I'm trying to save you from having to read a bunch of hate mail.
Yeah, thank you.
Because you read everything that comes in, so that's why we encourage people to send stuff in.
Man, you have no idea.
If I really knew and had to participate, my time on this show would come to an end.
Oh, man. Some people need to go outside and touch grass. That's all I can say.
I think some people need to go outside and eat some grass or just, I don't know, man. I went to Twitter a few days ago for something and I just can't deal with what goes on there. It's just that can't be representative of life.
It's not life. It's not life.
I see all these people worked up, and then, like I said, I go sit in the backyard with some people, and we don't all agree on everything, but nobody's all fired up about it, and everybody's, well, we may not agree on that, but
these idiots who want a civil war, They don't get that you don't get the NFL, college football, all that stuff probably ain't gonna work out well in a civil war. So you can want your civil war all you want. I don't want no goddamn civil war with nobody. Okay. Now there's some people I think shouldn't be breathing air. Don't get me wrong, but I ain't trying to be in no civil war with nobody. All right.
Well, that's just the thing is, okay, 160 million people voted in the last election. That don't mean 160 people want to take to the streets and start fighting.
Yeah. Come on, man. All right. That's your politics for today with Dr.
And I
Mike.
will tell you this, the general population, when I go to like the zoo or a soccer game or the grocery store or whatever, I'm just going to say this. And this is, let me both sides of this because I firmly believe this. But if it were to break out, these people are not in the kind of shape it requires to pull off war. And I'm not talking about the men and women in uniform that every day are out there hanging and banging across the world to protect our little freedoms. I'm talking about the general population as a whole is not ready for any sort of strenuous activities. They're gonna I gotta go. Hold on, before we start this war, I gotta go consult my physician and make sure my heart is ready for this sort of activity.
Not just that, I need to take my diabetes medicine before I go out.
Hold on, can we start this next month? My A1C is up a little bit. I need to get it down some. So can we hold up on the war? Because
oh yeah, all right.
We joke, and it's not a joking matter. But the point is that people get online and they got big words for big things. But let's be real.
Cactus was great there with Gordon Soley. From there, I am not talking about this. I'm just going to give you the result. Max Payne defeated Brad Armstrong, and that's all I'm saying. Wrong guy won. From there, did you have anything, Doc? Please do not make me hit rewind.
No, I just said poor Brad.
Yes. From there, we go to Tex Slashinger and Shanghai Pierce versus Tom Zink. I'm sorry, the Sleep Monster and Johnny Gunn, the Ambient Express. Now, I just saw a hell of a tag match, and you want me to sit here?
No.
And God bless Slashinger and Pierce as I say this, but you want me to sit here and watch them take on the Ambient Express? There, I swear to God, at the 41:30 mark, there was a "We Want Flair" chant going on. Did you catch that?
I wrote something down, but I can't read it.
Let me see if this is what it is. I'm going to turn up the volume as much as I can on the audio. Let me see. I could have swore I heard it, but I might have been hearing things. Here it is.
Sustained by the Rock and Roll Express earlier at the hands of Jim Cornette's Heavenly Bodies. It's the Z-Man and Gunn here, taking the Rock and Roll Express place, Larry. And we know that these two teams that we're seeing in the ring certainly have a disdain for each other, especially after Pierce and Slashinger tried to put Gunn and Z-Man in dresses several weeks ago on this very broadcast.
Well, no question about that.
Yeah, I don't hear it, so maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't hear it either. What's wrong with wearing a dress?
Nothing. I don't care. Whatever. Wear what you want to wear. It's a free country. But if you want me to wear a dress, then that's when I have a problem. But whatever.
Why? What's wrong with wearing a dress? Don't you think that would be nice in the summer to have like a summer dress on?
No, look, I'm going to do Harper. No. You know when he gets pitchy and he says,
"Yeah, I kind of wish he was here for that." Just to air out your junk and stuff.
By the way, the show where he told people to grow up dropped last night as we record this. I can't wait to hear the blowback that he gets from that.
I bet he gets a pass from our people because they all love him so much.
Probably.
We're the only ones that love him even more that will hold him accountable. That's who who really loves you is will they hold you accountable?
Although somebody did post on YouTube, there was a post, because again, it just dropped, that said something like, Harper telling people to grow up as you all discuss 30-year-old fake fighting is very rich of him.
we tried to warn him.
Bro, that was my whole point. That's what I was like, dude, we're talking about 30-year-old pro wrestling.
We're not on here to talk about world economics or breakthroughs in science and medicine.
He's telling people to grow up. I love it. All right. I don't have nothing from this match.
No.
Okay. So
my note was, I feel like we've already seen this, and I didn't want to see it then.
There you go. Pierce throws Z-Man over the top, and we get a DQ. There literally was nothing in this match that made me want to see it. Early on in the match, JR did say the Rock and Roll actually were supposed to wrestle Pierce and Slashinger, but they had already wrestled, so there's that. Anything from Vader and Harley's quick promo from you?
I thought Vader was quick and good. It was fine. That was it.
Yeah, Vader, me too, had the same thing. Vader tells Sting it's over, and there's nothing, what are you going to do about it? Pretty much is what he says. Now, Vader's got here's the key thing to remember here. Vader's got it's a belt, but it's a leather strap. And that's key to the type of match that they're going to have. So I just want to point that out for people who haven't seen it and whatnot yet. We continue. We then go to the main event. So we had a couple of long matches on this when you think about the Heavenly Bodies and the Rock and Roll, and we got Sting versus Barry Windham in the main event with about 9 to 10 minutes to go of TV time. Sting's taking on Barry Windham. Sting ain't waiting. He's gone early. He catches Barry Windham as soon as things get on and popping, and he ain't trying to wait. Let me go to you. Think about this if you're sitting in center stage for free and you get to see Sting versus Barry Windham for free.
After seeing the Rock and Roll.
Yeah, you're right. You got a good treat from the Rock and Roll earlier, too, in Heavenly Bodies.
My first note here is, man, this is as good as any main event on Nitro. 49 minutes.
49-minute mark. You got something?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me go. I'm at 48-45, so we'll get in there in a second.
My point is that this is how Sting should be. This is when Sting's at his best. Look, he's about to fire up.
Oh yeah, when Barry turns his back,
Barry turns his back. I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna rake his eyes, and it's like when Sting has such an issue that he's resorting to borderline tactics. I like that from him. He's not a human version of Spuds McKenzie at that point. He's a real human.
Yeah, no, I got you. I follow, and I totally agree. Any other timestamps from it?
He's not better than Barry Windham. Here's the thing, and we talked about this earlier, and I'll say it. We like Ron Simmons. I like Ron Simmons more than I like Sting, but it's clear that in 1993, Sting is the choice for the promotion to get behind. I get that. I'm not arguing that. The real question, and this is how bad the creative is that they're actually making me feel bad for Sting because of how just every dumb thing they put him in.
You talking about with the video package, White Castle Fear, like we saw last week?
Spin the wheel, make a deal.
Well, yeah, yeah, that too.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need that because he gets in these matches. When Sting's in a high profile match, he delivers.
I agree.
It's not like he's lost out there.
No. These two I thought had really good chemistry, but I'm not surprised.
Agree. I like that. We saw it a second ago on video, that modified DDT that Windham is doing where he jumps up.
Yeah.
He did that a second ago. Looked great. I mean, it was some good moments, some good bumps in this match.
Windham is just on another level right now, in my opinion. I think I said that last week. And he's the perfect guy to send out there for Sting right now, based on what's going on. As we get to the finish, was that not? I don't have the timestamp, but it was a huge ref bump.
Going to it now. So Sting is firing up, and Wyndham runs into the ref and takes him out. It's coming here in a second if you're watching on the video version with us. And thought it came quicker than that. Here it is. Boom. Wyndham nails the ref. Yeah, that was a decleater, as Madden used to say. And then Wyndham and Sting collide in the middle of the ring, and Wyndham goes to the outside. But that was a hell of a ref bump. I totally agree with you.
It looked, I mean, for whatever it was, it looked great.
Harley comes out and gives Barry the leather strap as the ref is knocked out. Barry goes to hit Sting with the leather strap. Sting boots Larry, takes the strap from him. The crowd is going nuts. Clotheslines Barry with the strap. And now Sting is basically about to whoop him like a dog. He actually pins Wyndham. He's choking Wyndham. He hangs him over the top rope. I thought this was great. But remember, the feud is with Vader. So as Barry is getting hung over the top rope by the strap, Vader comes out to make the save on Barry, and the ref reverses the decision because I guess he ended up seeing Sting with the strap. So
there you go.
I thought this was good follow-up after last week. It doesn't really matter who won or lost. Nobody loses any skin in the game here. This was good shit. I mean, like, I don't know how else to say it. This is how you book the territory, I guess, right?
It was damn good. And you're right. It is. It's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to put on competitive matches that further a story and keep it going.
Because remember this, boys and girls. In honor of Kevin Sullivan, who we lost recently.
It ain't that fucking hard, guys. We ain't building a rocket. We're getting guys over in a fake fucking business.
And this episode portrayed that. Now, before Doc and I rate it and hand out the Rolex, a word from AI Jim Ross.
It's almost time to rate this show and hand out the Rolex or Toot Toot Award. Before the fellas do that, don't forget to become a BTT Patreon member by going to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. When you sign up, you'll get tons of extra shows. There are 400 plus Patreon shows, including video versions of the main shows, the world-class shows with Lance and Mike, the NWA Legacy cast with Sparks and the Lil Fella Half Pint, and the ECW shows with Mike Prue, Rick BB, and JV. Additionally, Mike and Doc have covered many episodes of Dark Side of the Ring and Tales from the Territories on Vice. You'll also get reviews of all of the Clash of the Champions specials up until where the guys are currently at, and all of the WCW pay-per-views as well through this current time period. All of that and much more for just a few bucks a month. Don't wait. Sign up now and get all of that sweet extra audio gold from the best damn Outlaw Mud Show podcast on the planet.
Doc, I normally throw it to you for the rating Rolex Toot Toot. I'm going first. A+.
I thought about dinging it for the Max Payne and Ambient Express matches, but it is Saturday night. You can't do that. I find it very, very difficult to give this anything but an A+.
It gets an A+, but if we were doing Smoky Mountain where we did like Rolex, not Rolex's, government cheese, disability checks. That's what it was.
What's wrong with us?
We really did that. God damn. We took a lot of heat for that shit too. From
did
people
we?
Who didn't get the joke. Yeah, I mean, people who didn't get the joke that would like listen to an episode like, how dare you insult us? Like, okay, sorry, didn't mean to work you into a sheet,
here's
brother.
the thing: if you get a disability check, then okay, but do you not recognize? I mean, seriously, that a disproportionate set of your population is who's getting these benefits. I'm not mad that we're helping you. I'm just not going to not admit it. You know?
So, but if this was a disability,
do I understand what suburban white guys are like? Yes. I know the stereotype. So when somebody says it, I'm not butthurt about it. And I can laugh if it's not me, or I go, yeah, it's probably me.
So,
but the
what I was getting,
disproportionate of government benefits go to your area. If anybody's going to get hot, and they're not, it should be us that are paying for it. But, you know, whatever.
Nobody was. Jesus Christ, man. My point was, if we were giving out disability checks instead of an A+, I would say 9.8 because I would ding it for Max Payne and the Ambient Express. I wouldn't give it a 10. But since we're on a great scale of A to F.
Yeah, there's a greater fidelity in that rating than there is here.
Yeah, so that's why it gets an A+. I couldn't just give this an A because the Rock and Roll Express segment was so great. Sting and Barry was great. You know, like all that stuff was excellent. And then, bro, we didn't even talk about the first match. The freaking first match with Scorpio and Bad against Pillman and Austin. Like, wait, that was the opener.
Yeah.
I mean, this is A+, top to bottom. It started great, ended great, greatness in the middle, outside of Max Payne, Ambient Express, and stuff like that. But go ahead.
I think it's just like that Sunny Six tape we saw a while back. It was perfect from start to finish.
Okay, nobody said that. On that note, the Rolex is the hard thing to give out this week because I'm sorry.
I've already got mine.
Okay, who are you giving it to?
I'm gonna deviate from our normal way to do this. I'm going to give it to the whole promotion of Smoky Mountain Wrestling for getting their name out there.
Okay. He changes the rules when he wants to. I remember one time he was like, no, you can't give it to more than one person. I was, the hell I can. I make the rules here, pal. I'm not going to go that route, but I am going to give it to the Heavenly Bodies, the Rock and Roll Express, Jim Cornette, and Bill Watts. That segment was phenomenal.
Truly
was hard to top that. It was excellent. So that was great. Doc, one more thing before we get out of here. Harper won't stop fussing at me about this. So if you got questions for Harper, here's a word from AI Jim Ross.
Harper is crying broke after AI Bill Watts fined him $69,000 and banned the Coyote. And we keep hearing that you all want Harper to answer questions on the main show. Harper is ready to take your questions. Grab a pen and paper because here comes some directions. If you want your question or questions answered, first send Harper $5 per question to his PayPal at cc30388cc@yahoo.com. After you send Harper that sweet, sweet cheddar, email your question or questions to Chris Harper, 16wildcat @gmail.com. That's wildcat with a K, and bookingtheterritory@gmail.com. Also, make sure you state in your email what your name is and what your PayPal address is that you sent the money from. Remember, one question per $5. Kids, get your parents' permission before sending your cheddar and emailing your questions. Lastly, if you missed the PayPal or email addresses, check the show notes and description for the details.
All right, Doc. On that note, anything else before we get out of here this week? We went longer than expected, but we weren't anticipating one of our favorite people passing away.
Yeah,
the last 12 hours.
Yeah, that's rough. But hey,
it was a bummer.
At least we got to watch some really, really good wrestling today. And so anytime you get an A+, that's always good. Always good thing. We like to watch good wrestling. We don't like to watch bad wrestling. So I'm good, man. Let's get it on.
All right, man. Hit the tagline. Let's roll.
Book it, bitch.